The Stephie Smalls Show on the Sports Gambling and Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog just launched their new ladders game where you can win up to 500 times your end entry. Plus, when you use SMALLS Smalls, you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by EdgeBoost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code SGPN and get a $25 matching deposit bonus. And finally, get all of SGPN's free picks and podcasts in our convenient app. Download the SGPN app in our app store, in the App Store today.
Are you ready?
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Everyone cries that I don't talk NBA. Had someone whining in the comments. So guess what? I brought back Scott Reichel to talk some NBA playoffs with me. And then Anand, friend of the show, is coming on to yap some NFL, talk win totals, dating non-negotiables as far as sports goes. So without further ado, let's bring back on Scott Reichel, part of the SGPN family. You're the co-host of like half the shows, I feel like. So you do it all.
Yeah, I do the co-hosting and the editing for a lot of shows, so it keeps me busy, but can't complain. Happy to be here. Definitely a fun time for the NBA playoffs. And I do want to ask you, by the way, how difficult was it for you to officially become a member of the Jaxson Dart fan club?
It's been a journey. It was a lot of accepting. I was so set on them not moving up for a quarterback that I was just taken back by it. I'm just going to accept what it is. Let Dable, he drafted his guy. So either find out if Dable is the QB guy that they say he is or not. Jaxson Dart's growing on me, though, I will say. I shut him off pretty quickly when I first started watching his film.
I don't blame you. I was just wondering because I know that you initially were pretty, upset about the decision.
Yeah, I was definitely more upset.
I was wondering what stage of the grieving process you were in. And I think you've gone to the acceptance stage.
Denial, pretend part of that. Whole journey.
Once again, congrats on drafting a quarterback in the first
round. Thank you. I think that there's been so much trauma for so long that you just kind of at some point have to accept it. So we'll see how it goes. I don't think he plays a lot this year, if at all. Like if we see him after week 15, maybe, sure. But I don't think we're getting like a lot of full games out of Jaxson Dart unless something crazy happens. And knowing the Giants, it might, because we hurt every QB anyway. So maybe we will see a little bit more of him. I found out you're also a Nets fan like me, which people are surprised to find out because it's usually Giants, Knicks, Yankees, Jets, Nets, Mets. I am a Giants, Yankees, not Knicks, Nets. I just confused myself.
I followed half of that, but I was going to say, what I do think, though, is that most people tend to root for whatever teams their parents root for. At least that's what I've noticed. And my dad wasn't exactly a big Nets fan, but he was very anti-Knicks. So that kind of got carried over to me. So as a result, I picked the Nets. They were actually good back then. I might remember that when I was actually growing up because they had Jason Kidd, and they made the finals a couple times. But I've been a Nets fan ever since, so can't complain too much. Hopefully they win the draft lottery. We'll see. But either way, our team is a long way away from the playoffs. So
all I know is pain. And I was at the Durant foot over the line game, and I've kind of just
there.
I was there.
Oh.
I'm fucked up since.
That's tough. That was a hell of a sports day for me too, because the Islanders actually beat the Lightning that day, and then I recorded the Nets game to watch after that. So I sat there with my dad as his foot's on the line. And then Joe Harris misses every wide open shot in the middle of Game 7. So not a fun time.
Yeah, I bet if you go back and look at my tweets, I had some not nice things to say about Joe.
I think we all did.
Oh, wow. I totally forgot about that guy. Let's talk about the playoffs now, though. Enough walking down memory lane. A lot of leads have been given up. So I'm kind of tired on betting on some of these spreads. You look at them now, they're still kind of big here going into these next round of games. Are you what's up with the home court advantage thing? Because I don't know if we're seeing a lot of that this time around.
No, I've been making a joke on Twitter and on the podcast that it's home court disadvantage now, where teams don't actually want to be at home. The road teams won every game so far in this round, which is kind of crazy to think about. If you include Game 7 with the Warriors and Rockets, the road teams are on a massive heater right now. So it is kind of interesting. I do think that it's kind of really bizarre. It's never happened before that we've had this many road teams winning in a row. But I do think it's definitely interesting when it comes to a betting perspective. You mentioned that the spreads have been kind of annoying because no team can hold the lead. Can I introduce you to the beauty of live betting
Yes,
for
you
actual
can.
spreads? Because you've had a bunch of teams up 20, which is the kiss of death so far this postseason. Because every
Yeah.
team up 20 basically loses. So you might find some value if you actually want to live bet some games here. But for home court, it's interesting because they're still being priced into the actual lines. And you've seen them with the games tonight, for example.
Yeah.
Both teams are favored by double digits, basically. Yet home court advantage doesn't actually exist anymore. So you can argue that there's really not much value on the home teams if they're pricing in home court advantage, which doesn't actually exist, which I find kind of interesting. So,
It is really interesting. And also, where are you at? Because I think I like even looking at tonight, like Boston first half, like some of these teams that like are favorited or should have been maybe playing a little bit better than people have seen, or they've been letting up these leads. Like I can totally get behind them as far as like a first half standpoint goes. But then how can I trust them to finish the game and win and cover?
yeah, it's kind of how I feel. I feel like Boston, these teams that are down, should jump the other team early. We saw Cleveland do well in the first half in the game yesterday. They went up 20 and said, oh, I actually have no idea how to close a game for the last 12 minutes. It's like, all right, great. We're going to have some fun, entertaining basketball, but my bet's going to go up in flames. I had that with the Thunder in game 1 against the Nuggets. They were coasting the entire game, fell apart, and at that point, the entire comeback was on, and the Thunder fell apart. I do think I agree with you about the first half of some of these teams. The Celtics were great in the first half. Then they just kept missing three-pointers over and over again. And it was painful to watch, unless you're a Knicks fan. So that was a good time for Knicks fans. But I agree with you, though, about the Celtics in the first half. The full game, though, it's just difficult for me to trust all these teams when it feels like they are a ticking time bomb in the final 12 minutes of regulation. So
yeah, no, 100%. I guess some other questions I have as far as the rest of the, these series. Are the Cavs cooked? Like, are they cooked, or?
I feel like a lot of it comes down to the injuries. The fact that they lost both home games are a serious red flag. But I do think when you're looking at the injuries, Garland with the toe injury, maybe he'll come back. Who knows? You're looking at Mobley with a bad ankle. Who knows if he's going to play well if at all. I think you're looking, though, at the actual betting markets for the series there. I'm shocked Indiana's only like minus 180. I think that if they won both road games, they'd be minus 250 minimum with all the injuries they have. And yet, for some reason, it's still somewhat close. So I'm going to say Cleveland's not cooked. It's not good. I would pick Indiana to win the series right now if I had to make an adjusted pick. But I'm not going to say they're fully cooked. I think that if some of the other teams potentially end up losing the other two games as well, the first two games at home, then maybe. But I do think the Cavs have enough firepower, obviously, to get back into the series. But I find the actual pricing shocking. I thought Indiana would be at least minus 250, and they're not. I find the pricing very, I'd say, dangerously close. So I think the odds makers still give Cleveland a shot.
And I think I saw it move a little bit before we jumped on. I think it was DK was hanging a minus 205 on Indiana. So maybe there's some money coming in that feels similar to you. Before we talk about I want to talk about the series markets after, but then I also want to talk about first is, what does no Curry mean? Because that's a serious factor, I think, for this team.
Yeah, it definitely is. It didn't matter much in game 1 because Buddy Hield showed up and kind of half saved the day.
And I had him, I took a alt line on his threes. I had just this weird feeling for some reason.
It was a weird game for Hield. He checked in wearing the wrong pair of shorts, and then he scored 20-plus points in the second half, which was kind of crazy. He actually led the game in scoring. He was 100-1 to lead the game in scoring, which I thought was kind of crazy. But, I mean, it's not good. Curry's going to be out for a week, so he's probably going to miss 3 games, give or take. I mean, you never know with athletes, if in a desperation situation, do they bring him out there for a couple minutes, maybe in a game or two? He's not playing game 2, probably not playing game 3, maybe game 4 if they're in desperation type of situation there for Golden State, but it's going to be tough for them to manufacture points. Now, luckily for them, Minnesota couldn't hit a shot to save their lives yesterday, scored 31 points in the first half. In the last 2 games, I think Minnesota is 12 of 76 from 3. Which is it's the worst percentage in NBA history in a 2-game sample in the playoffs. So Minnesota's got to actually score some points. Ant was terrible for the entire first half. Had some stat padding late, but he was not very good for the course of the game. I think that the Warriors should keyword should lose every game that Curry misses.
Yeah.
But they found a way yesterday. And they have championship mettle. We know Kerr can definitely find ways to manufacture wins. I like the under in all these games with Curry not playing because I don't know how Golden State's supposed to score. And the only chance they have is to make the game as ugly as possible, like we saw in the game yesterday and even Game 7 against Houston, which was a rock fight. I like the unders with these games with Curry being out of the lineup. I like the Jimmy Butler PRA. I mean, it's going to be massive. That's the problem. But I like the rebounds. They have to play through them. They don't have a choice. And you're looking at the actual depth of this team. Pretty underwhelming. Not many great bench options to fill the void.
Very underwhelming. Did you see the video of Ant finding out about that stat?
Yes. The eyes wide open. I felt the same way.
He looked over. He's like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, he was not ready to hear that, but it's been rough for the Timberwolves from 3. I'm not going to panic for them. For example, they're still like minus 200 to win the series because Curry's now out indefinitely. They should be fine. You really need to win every game until Curry comes back just to maximize your potential to win the series. Will they blow one? Maybe. But damn, they better win Game 2. That's all I'm saying. They better win Game 2 with no Curry at home.
100%. What are you looking at for tonight's games?
So I have a couple props. You mentioned that spreads are kind of tricky. I agree. I went with player props instead.
Yeah.
So for the Knicks game that's happening first tonight, I have a couple of plays. I have Tatum over 9.5 rebounds at minus 111. He's had at least 14 rebounds in 3 of the last 5 games. Had at least 10 rebounds in 2 of the last 3 against the Knicks. People got so distracted by the really bad shot selection in the second half, they might not have realized he had 16 rebounds in Game 1. So he was the best rebounder on the team. Porzingis is battling an illness. I don't know how much he's going to play in this game, but I do think that Tatum should have a solid rebounding game. I'll go with him there at 9.5 at minus 111. Also moving on to his teammate, Derek White. I'll go with the over 19.5 points and assists at minus 112. Had at least 21 PA in 8 of the last 9 games. Also been great against the Knicks. He's had at least 21 PA in 5 straight against the Knicks. So I am going to go with Derek White as well. For shooting volume in general, I do think PA is worth something here at this number. I'll take the 19.5. And for the last play in the first game on the Wednesday card, give Mikal Bridges. I'll go with this over 6.5 RA, mainly based on the overall minutes he's going to end up playing. There were 53 minutes because it went to overtime in Game 1. He played 51
I was going to say, was it
of the 53 minutes. Tibbs doesn't actually believe in resting anybody, and he's going to keep Bridges out there. So I like the overall usage for him. I understand he's not the biggest rebounder or facilitator, but if you're going to be on the court for 40-plus minutes in a game, you can accidentally stumble into 7 rebounds and assists. So I'll take that as well as my final play for that game.
I love it. Yeah, I took a look at Bridges' threes. I've been playing a lot of these steals during the playoffs. It seems like you can catch on to some trends with those. Before I ask you about these series markets, I want to tell everyone about the Circa Ultimate Fantasy Football Giveaway. Circa Resort and Casino, my favorite place in the world, in Las Vegas, is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for the entire stay. The winner is going to receive a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino for their entire 12-person league, 6 Double King rooms. My gosh. Hold their draft at a cabana at Stadium Swim with a $5,000 food and beverage credit. That's where I held mine last year. It's an absolute blast. If you follow me on Twitter, you're well aware of how much I love Circa. That is my home away from home. You get limo transportation to and from the airport. I've been in that limo. Also a blast. A welcome party at the Legacy Club. Legacy Club is fantastic. Views up there. Awesome. Drinks are awesome. The espresso martinis are awesome should you win and go to the Legacy Club. A reservation at the world's largest sports book with a $500 beverage credit for the league, a 2-hour open bar package for the league at Overhang Bar. The contest duration is May 5th to June 30th. You can enter on sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved, no usage fees, no minimums, earn cash back rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at Edge Boost Bet with promo code SGPN. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Time for my bonus underdog pick'em. Underdog just launched their new game ladders, went up to 500x. Watching your favorite players climb the ladder. Despite all the whining, here's a pick'em entry I like for golf this week. Xander finishing position better than 20.5. Spieth and Burns to also have their finishing position be better than 20.5. And it'll get you 5.78x your monies. So sign up with Smalls to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code Smalls. And back to basketball, so everyone doesn't get their panties in a twist. People are very upset I talk golf out here. It's just not that serious, guys. Like, it's a lot of fun to bet on. Get over it. Okay, let's talk about the series markets. Right now, Celtics minus 340, Knicks plus 270. Value on the Knicks at all here?
I'm not going to make a case for the Knicks to win the series. I get they won game one. I still think Boston kind of handed it to them on a platter. I'll give the Knicks props, though. I think most people went into the series picking Celtics in 5. I think that was a common opinion. And they lost the one game that they were allegedly going to lose. But I do think Boston should still win the series. If you wanted some value, I'd actually don't mind Boston minus 1.5 games at minus 118. Okay. I do think Boston's the better team. The Knicks, they put so much on Brunson's plate late in games. And Anunoby was great in game one. Cat was horrible. So it's just kind of concerning there. We'll see if Porzingis stays healthy for the rest of the series. Jaylen Brown, though, is banged up, which has definitely been concerning. But it felt like Boston had game one. They stopped trying. They kind of coasted, and they blew the entire game. Yeah. Boston's still clearly the better team. They won all 4 regular season meetings. Props to the Knicks for remaining competitive and for coming back and winning. Bing bong. But still, I do think the Celtics minus 1.5 would be my play there at minus 118. That was very expensive pre-series. They lost a game. I think they'll end up winning a game in MSG minimum. We saw Detroit go in there and win in MSG 2. I do think Boston wins the series, maybe in 6 instead of 5. But Boston minus 1.5 games would still be my play at around minus 118.
Yeah, and you're just, despite me wearing orange, you are not going to get me to sit here on my show and say I'm picking the Knicks. I still think the Celtics are the better team. Okay, looking at the next series here. Thunder minus 290. Nuggets plus 235. I like the Thunder here. Still, I'm not going to touch that number, but...
I think it's a very interesting series because on paper, the Thunder should kill this team, and they were doing so in the first 42 minutes or so of game one. The problem I have with the Thunder is that they won so many games in blowout fashion in the regular season. They might actually be a terrible late-game team in close games. I mean, watching them try to close out that game in game one was a mess. Daigneault had the fouling situation. Then he defended the terrible decisions in the press conference, which I thought was even worse, doubling down on whatever he was doing into the end of game one. Denver finds ways to actually win close games. Maybe it's a team of destiny thing. I did pick OKC in 6 in the series. They still should win the series. Keyword should. But we saw a lot of what we saw last year, which was Chet and Jalen Williams vanishing into thin air. You couldn't find them. Like, Shea was trying to do everything himself. His teammates didn't really step up there. They got Hartenstein to try to help out with the Joker problem, and he went for 40-plus points and 20 rebounds, and apparently that didn't do anything. So
there is no helping that problem.
There is no helping that problem, correct. Now, Denver has no bench at all. Westbrook's been good lately, but Porter Jr. is injured. The Thunder should win this series, but if you are going to keep, I'd say, giving me scares in late-game close situations, I think there's a potential upset on the table. Would I pick them to win the series? I'd say no. This could go 7. I had Thunder in 6 originally. Denver's proven to me that whether Joker's the coach or whether Adelman's the coach, they look pretty good right now. I'll give him props on that. I think Denver can actually make this a very competitive series. I'll go Thunder in 7, but I think Denver might actually have some problems for OKC to solve.
Yeah, I mean, having the Joker alone is kind of a cheat code, and it seems like as long as he stays healthy and plays like the Joker, there's not much to argue with there. Wolves are minus 185. Warriors are plus 155. Assuming Curry comes back in like a timely fashion. I know we talked about it a little bit before. Do you still lean the Wolves there?
I think I have to.
Yeah.
They won game one because Minnesota couldn't hit a shot. Golden State still only scored 99 points in game one. They weren't great offensively. Both teams shot around 39% from the floor. The difference was Golden State made 18 three-pointers. That was the main difference in the game. Minnesota has to play better than that. Damn, I want them to stop playing DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo has been so bad for that team for the entire postseason. It's been rough. But
It's
either way,
rough.
it's been really bad. But still, I do think for this actual series, Minnesota really has no excuses to lose any games to Golden State without having Curry in the lineup. If you want to
Yeah.
get creative with it, maybe you can go with Golden State to win one more game and pick Minnesota in 6. Minnesota minus 1.5 games, though, is plus 132. I think there has to be value on that.
Probably.
Pre-series, I had Minnesota in 7. So I did pick Golden State to stay competitive. I did pick them in game 1. But without Curry, I really don't know how they're going to score. You need Butler and Hield, who we know is kind of an afterthought on this team, to just carry offensively, or Pajemski in there. Draymond hit 4 threes in game 1. That probably won't happen again. But you're looking at this offense just not having many options that you really trust. And that's problematic. So I think Minnesota minus 1.5 games is intriguing. Curry might come back for game 6. Maybe game 5 extremely compromised. But plus money fading a Golden State team. They're 10-point dogs in game 2. Would they be favored in game 3 at home without Curry? Probably not, if I had to guess. They might be a dog in every game without Curry playing. So I'll go Minnesota minus 1.5 games. I'm not happy that this is what's happened in the series.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be fun, but I got to adjust to reality, which is the Warriors without Steph probably can't score. I'll go Minnesota minus 1.5 games at plus 132.
Yeah, I know we talked about the Pacers and the Cavs already. Out of those series, like, which is your favorite underdog, I guess, if you had to pick one, like, gun to your head here?
Well, I mean, underdog, I don't think Cleveland's going to come back, but I can see that series still being very competitive.
Yeah.
Just based on the talent there. I think the Knicks are going to end up losing. I think the Timberwolves are favored, so I can't even pick them. It might actually be Cleveland. Like, you could argue Golden State makes the most sense because they're up 1-0, but without Curry, I just wonder how long he's going to be out for. And that's wishful thinking. He's back by game 6. He could be out for longer than that. We don't actually know. So I'll go with Cleveland, I guess, if I had to pick, just because I do think the talent is definitely there for them to make the comeback. If Garland comes back, if Mobley comes back, they should have won game 2. They kind of fumbled it away. I think Denver's very live to win it too. I think Denver can definitely pull this off. So I'd go with either Denver or Cleveland if I had to go for upsets. It would not be the Knicks. No offense. They won one game. I'm not going to overreact to that. But
I don't think they looked fantastic up until that, that point.
The Knicks didn't really do much. They kind of just watched Boston self-destruct and said thanks and just took the free win from their pocket. Yeah. So the Knicks, I still think, are going to lose the series. Denver with Joker. If you have the best player in the world, you can beat anybody, and that's what Denver's shown. So my first pick would probably be Denver. Second pick would be Cleveland, and we'll go from there. But it should be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. I see, like I told you when you were on before, I am such like an Easter, Christmas, like NBA playoff watcher, and that's fine. I'm having a blast right now. Like, this is exactly why I only watch at this point. Part of that is probably due to the fact that I'm a Nets fan. Okay, if you had to do like top 2 biggest disappointments so far from the playoffs, what would they be?
Top 2 biggest disappointments. So thinking of all the teams that we saw, number 1 would be the Clippers. Have to go with the Clippers. You can single out James Harden if you want to. Nobody's surprised by the James Harden choke job, but you got to at least bring it up for Game 7. It's got to be the Clippers. Clippers were phenomenal to end the regular season, beat the Warriors in that final game in Golden State to secure themselves being out of the play-in, and they ended up falling apart. And besides losing a series they probably should have won on paper, they got run out of the building. They were down 30 in the third quarter of a Game 7. It was so bad, I turned on playoff hockey. I was watching the Avalanche and Stars game instead. It was over very quickly. The Clippers have to be the biggest disappointment because that was just embarrassing how that unfolded there for the, once again, first round for them. Not to mention Harden scoring 7 points in Game 7, which is just a meme that never dies in playoff basketball.
It's just so, like, that was just coming. You should know that is what you're going to get.
You knew it was going to happen. The problem was I faded Harden also in Game 6, and he was good in Game 6. That was kind of the problem there. But I do think that's going to be the main disappointment. I'll give Houston a pass. They're a young team.
Okay.
I'll give Milwaukee a pass because Dame got injured. I'm trying to think of other disappointments. It might actually, I don't know if the Pistons count or not, because the Pistons didn't win a single home playoff game, but nobody thought they'd be in the playoffs at all. So I think my playoff disappointment, I'll change it up a little bit. I'll go JB Bickerstaff. I'll go with the coach of Detroit for my second biggest disappointment, because you had a chance to right every wrong that you had against the Knicks in your first series with the Cavs it felt like you got outcoached by Thibodeau the entire series, which is not a good sign. No, it's not where you want to be. But it just felt like Detroit choking away every game down the stretch. I kind of have to blame that on coaching. And the fact that he was the runner-up for Coach of the Year, and yet we were watching the playoffs when he was with Cleveland, watching them now. He's the same guy. There's some serious playoff coaching flaws there, and none of them got addressed. So I guess my second disappointment might sound harsh. I'll go with Bickerstaff. You got to win a home playoff game. You can't have 3 chances to win a home playoff game and you lose all 3 of them. And the way that you ended up losing.
I was going to say, that was brutal.
Yeah. So
that was rough.
I'll go with Bickerstaff as my second disappointment. You can name a bunch of other options, but that was kind of one that I thought was worth talking about.
I guess you have one. Like, is there a player that stood out to you during this?
In a good way or a bad way?
In a good way. We can be nice now.
We'll be nice now? Okay, we'll change it up a little bit. I mean, I do think for everything that's been talked about him, and I know that he was not very good for most of the game yesterday, but then he had the game winner. I got to go Halliburton. I have to.
Okay.
When you get voted by your peers as the most overrated player in the league, and then you have the series-winning shot against Milwaukee, and you have the game-winning shot in Game 2, he definitely shut a lot of people up. I think Halliburton's a very solid player. I think that I can understand why people are annoyed by him because he talks a lot of trash only when his team's winning, and that can annoy some people. But Halliburton definitely has shown that he's not overrated. He's really good. And right now, is Indiana in a good position to make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second straight year? I'll give props to Halliburton. He's been a phenomenal closer. I mean, Brunson's done Brunson things, but everyone's not surprised by that, so I can't mention that. But I think people for Halliburton thought he'd be up and down in the postseason like he was last year.
Yeah.
He has taken over a bunch of clutch moments, and he has definitely willed this team to victory in pretty rough spots. Shout out to Halliburton, who's done a great job.
Look at us being positive.
Also, shout out to Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I know. Very, very fun, especially when he's cashing threes for me. Okay, have you seen on Basketball Reference that they have like the random nicknames for players? Obviously, you have.
I'm convinced that 90% of those are made up.
They definitely are. So I'm going to give you a couple of them and see if you can guess who the player is. We'll start with Mikal Bridges. Oh, I just told you who it was.
I'm going to guess Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, good choice. Cool. Well, it's the Warden. That one I didn't know.
Never would have gotten that in my life.
Jaden McDaniels. I'm saying, Ryan, why'd you write these down?
I'm going to guess it's Jaden McDaniels. Am I right? I'm 2 for 2 right now.
Guys, I didn't get much sleep. Okay, I'm going to do this the right way. Who do you think Strokin Joe is?
Isaiah Joe.
Okay, yes, you got that one right.
That's a horrible nickname, by the way.
8 Mile.
I'm going to guess Caruso because he's bald, and in theory, you could argue that's Eminem.
Pritchard.
Okay, so I guess the wrong white guy. Okay. My mind was in the right place. I just picked the wrong white guy. That's fine.
Okay, Fro.
That's going to be Jared Allen.
Yeah, okay. You're doing pretty good.
I'm a Nets fan. Come on, you got to show me some respect.
Yes, I'm impressed. That's true. Cookie Monster.
Oh, boy. That could be anybody. I feel like I've heard this before, but I can't remember. I'm just going to guess Aaron Gordon and just move on.
It's actually Jokic.
Okay. That might be some fat shaming, but okay, fair enough.
That's an interesting one. Seatbelt.
Seatbelt. It's got to be a good defensive player, but it's got to be so obscure I wouldn't even know. It's like Cason Wallace.
I saved myself there because it's Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, okay.
I went back.
Right.
I had to.
Well
get this
okay.
Right.
All
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Have any tennis for me before I let you get out of here?
Well, I ended up doing a tennis episode yesterday. First of all, have you started to dive more into tennis, or you're still intimidated by the sport?
I'm still a little intimidated by it, but I think it's time.
It's time because you have to sweat out the draft anymore, so you got some free time on your hands. So for tennis tomorrow, I'll go with the over 22.5 games in the Fonseca match against Morozin. Think it'll be close. Think that it should be a pretty competitive matchup. I like the value there at even money. But once again, if you want some more tennis picks, check out the Tennis Gambling Podcast on the SGPN channel. So
check out all of his work. NBA pod? You do the MLB pod too?
I do the NBA, the MLB. I do tennis, and on top of that, an episode hour and a half from now, WNBA, doing some off-season stuff with Terrell. So
love it. Tell people where they can find you on X, and I'll let you get out of here.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. You can find me on the podcast on SGPN. You can also, once again, find me on Twitter there. You could reach out to me, either tagging me or just overall in DMs. It's fine either way. But find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio.
I appreciate it. We'll get you back on before we close out the NBA playoffs here.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, talk to you soon, Scott. See ya. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye.
Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs and MLB prop market with Rhythm. Building your model is simple and easy. Rhythm knows you'll love it. It's why they include a 7-day free trial. Here is something Rhythm likes, and I also like, and look at me bringing up golf again for the haters. Corey Connors, top 20 plus 105. His projected finishing position is 4. His putting stinks like shit. So we're going to just take the top 20 and move on from there. Rhythm has some amazing deals going on now. 25% off monthly subscriptions with promo code SGPN25 and 50% off annual subscription with promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Get your 7-day free trial at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, plus props for every game. For the true degens, the MyBookie money bag. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit, and lightning fast payouts. I was on there today kind of scoping out some NFL, and they have Flacco to take the first snap as the starting QB for the Browns at plus 175. Kenny Pickett's actually the favorite there. And if you think Sanders is going to start at least one game, I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe we'll ask our next guest. They're hanging a plus 240. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SMALLS for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. And without further ado, we haven't had this man on in quite some time. My dear friend Anand. I never know where this guy is. Like, where are we now? Where the fuck is Anand right now? What are we fucking doing? How are you?
What's up? Long time no see. I'm in beautiful sunny Chicago. I wish it was a little warmer than it is. It's about 55 degrees here. But yeah, life as a world traveler is pretty tough.
You never I'm surprised you're in Chicago. You're always on the move. Is this finally your rest time though? Because the draft is kind of on its way.
Yeah, I don't travel again for another 3 weeks, which is weird for me because I'm one of those people that kind of always has to have a suitcase packed in case I have to be somewhere in 8 hours. So it's been kind of nice, a little bit refreshing to not be in the airport 3 times a week, but got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, it must be nice to at least be at home. Although I do love myself an airport beer. Like just being at the airport, drinking at the airport is just a different experience.
It gets old at some point.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's only so many times you can convince Jets fans that their team isn't totally trash.
Today, well, actually on Monday, I came on my show and I talked about how Dallas, if you look at their depth chart, you're like, what's the plan if CD gets hurt? What's the plan, I guess, in the running back group? They locked Jerry Jones somewhere. I don't know where Jerry Jones is. And they went out and they got Pickens. Thoughts on this move? People love the narrative that, like, wide receivers leave Tomlin and they have a hex on that. Like, where are you at as far as Pickens on Dallas? What does that look like next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Dallas, it makes all the sense in the world, right? This is your Michael Gallup replacement that you've been kind of looking for a certain amount of time. A lot of the guys that they've had on that roster, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, whoever it is, that's been the number one, they've lacked that vertical explosiveness for a while. And Pickens isn't necessarily the Mike Wallace or, your Will Fuller where they're just going to run by you for 80 yards. But he does give you chunk plays in the pass game. And that's what they so desperately needed, is just anybody that can be a threat outside. And I think that a big part of this is probably, you can allow Pickens to play the X and move CD into the slot a lot more than you used to be able to. So it just makes them two fun chess pieces to put side by side. For Dallas, this makes all the sense in the world. For Pittsburgh,
Like, okay. And I talked about this a little bit too. Like, first of all, are we sure Rodgers is going there?
No. Why? This is the weirdest part about this whole
not
thing.
Going there. I do not believe he's going there. You cannot.
Even if he does go there, what are you getting?
And who cares? Yeah.
Like, if you get, look, even if you get 2022 Aaron Rodgers, who is a very good quarterback, that's not going to push Pittsburgh over the entire AFC. No. What are we doing here? You are the girl at the end of the bar that is screaming out, "It's my birthday," begging for relevance. Stop it. Get some help.
Get some help. You need help. Go home.
Yeah.
Call your mom. Go to church.
It screams, I want to be relevant, and I'm not. And everything else about the way that they've built this team makes sense. But just sticking Aaron Rodgers in there doesn't. Bringing in DK Metcalf honestly doesn't. So this is kind of the one off season where, you know, you're the friend that always invests in their 401k wants to go to Vegas and blow 25 grand. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, and I don't get it at all.
And I was having this conversation, like, are the Steelers, they've done a really good job post, like, Big Ben, like, kind of just band-aiding and, like, getting by and, like, still having these, like, seasons where they're going over their 8.5 wins and Tomlin's still winning. Like, I think all of that might just smack them the fuck in the face this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the teams this year that I think could kind of see things go really south if their quarterback plan doesn't work out.
Right.
Because we're talking about right now, your starting QB would be Mason Rudolph. If not, you're talking about a 6th-round rookie in Will Howard that there's some hope for. But, I mean, like, you've seen what it's like in Pittsburgh, man. That's not a fun place to have your first start because they will turn on you real quick if you suck.
Yeah.
And, man.
Yeah.
That's
scary.
I mean, I like Calvin Austin. I
love Calvin Austin. He's one of my crushes. But, like, what do we got? Calvin Austin, fucking Roman Wilson? I'm sorry.
Roman Wilson, man. They're putting a lot of eggs in this kid's basket. And, you know, I wish him the best. But, again, you're asking a lot of a quarterback, either in Mason Rudolph or a rookie, to do for you because you don't really have a true number 2. And then worse than that, if you decide to get Aaron Rodgers, God forbid that leg is actually toast, then what do you have to sell next year? That we brought in a 41-year-old and we didn't play the rookie, and the guy that's been here and done that and knows this offense never got a shot? I mean, I don't know, man. I think the whole Aaron Rodgers angle is insane. I've always thought it was crazy because unless you can win a Super Bowl with said player, I don't think the circus is worth it.
We lost the plot, motherfuckers. Like, I don't know what is going on now. I'm so tired of it a little bit. I'm tired of talking about it too, and it keeps having to come up.
Look, first of all, if you entertained the Vikings, congratulations on your Brett Favre work, right? You went to the Jets. You already did that. Now we're talking about you joining the Steelers in mid-May. There are people who believe that it's going to be post-schedule release because he doesn't want to play primetime games or games that are in
oh my God, that's the problem right there. Why the fuck does he get
Who cares, dude? You're a professional quarterback and you're all in for your team and you are their guy and that is your franchise, or you're not. And right now you're not. And we are 3.5 months from game 1? What the fuck are we doing here?
Someone tell me, because I don't know. I literally have no idea. And that was my question. It's funny between the DK Metcalf, getting rid of Pickens, like, I don't know if you're going to get me to be taking, and I've banged the table for the Steelers every year. I've been the over, take the over. I'm not fucking touching it this year. I'm good. Thank you. Enjoy that. You guys enjoy the ride. I won't be there. I won't be on that ride with you guys this year.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those situations where I think there's a cheap opportunity to buy the Browns if you think that the rest of the division takes a little bit of a step back. Because, I mean, the roster isn't terrible. It needed work. I think they did some work to it. 5.5 wins now. I think it opened at 4.5. Like, there is definitely a world where last year's Browns win 6 or 7 games. And this team is definitely better than last year's team by account that we know Deshaun Watson will not be the quarterback. My God, man. Like, if you are replacing nothing, that makes you something. Congratulations to whoever is starting at QB for the Browns. I heard you talk on my bookie that I think it was Joe Flacco. Yeah, Joe Flacco at this moment, right now, is better than Deshaun Watson.
Plus 175. They have Kenny Pickett as the favorite over there on my bookie. Guys.
I know.
And we'll be lucky if Kenny Pickett makes it out of camp. Like, I don't know why they would even keep him there.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded before camp. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they drafted 2 QBs, which, again, do with that information.
2 running backs, 2 QBs. It's Noah's fucking arc over there. What are we doing? Yeah.
We'll just say 2 of everything. Thanks. Keep it moving. But, to me, I find it funny that Kenny Pickett is being viewed as a legitimate option at QB. I don't think he is. Just because he took the last quarterback snap of the football season, everybody wants to give him the first of the next one. Sorry about that. But, it never ceases to amaze me how much first-round draft capital will allow people to buy into shitty football players.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the organizations that are drafting them are not making some bright decisions, if you ask me. Listen, I know that all too well, okay? Listen,
maybe a little too well.
I am the queen of that. It's funny you brought up the Browns, so it's like almost as if you can see my show sheet here in my notes. Not that everyone would laugh if they saw the notes I take, but under the Browns, I saw 4.5. The people like the over on that quite a bit. It's minus 175.
That's just logic. That's not even. It's not even betting on a team. It's betting that the NFL is an even playing field, which it is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that Cleveland can go 4-13 again. And
not with that roster, not with that defense. It just doesn't make sense.
No. And I mean, you brought in 2 quarterbacks. Hopefully one of them works. Really 3 if you think consider bringing back Flacco. You brought in 3 quarterbacks. One of them will be better than the others. So I'm not saying that they're going to work in terms of, bring you a wild card berth or anything, but one of them has to do something.
Yeah, literally. And I think we've seen Flacco be fine. Like, Flacco's fine, like, still somehow. I don't know. Dude's hanging on. I don't know if he's drinking like stem cell. I don't know what Buddy's doing, but like, he's fine still.
Hey man, I mean, he's been the best QB in Cleveland since Mayfield left. So maybe there's still some magic. Who knows?
Maybe. We brought up Steelers already. It won't beat a dead horse. Cowboys win total is at 7.5. So they have like a bounce back. The under is plus 115. Seems very dramatic there. I think that although NFC East has a tough strength of schedule next year. It's not pretty. The division got tougher. Like, it's not a pretty scene there.
My advice to anybody that's looking at win totals is just to avoid the NFC East in its entirety. The Eagles will be a little bit oversteamed, but that roster, as soon as they get going downhill, is the best in the league.
Yeah.
You've got the Giants who've retooled in a lot of ways that have really interesting pieces, but do you fully buy into that? You've got the Cowboys, same situation where you have Dak coming off of injury and you're wondering, what will they be? And then you've got, the lucky moonshot of the year last year in Washington. Not to say that they didn't deserve the record they ended up with and didn't deserve to be there, but you had a rookie quarterback, a head coach that was there for the first time, and a first-time GM. So what does this look like in year 2 after everybody's had some time to kind of assess what you do and figure out what it is you're best at and try to stop it? We've seen this before. Though sometimes people refer to it as a sophomore slump. But I don't see them as a certified guaranteed double-digit win team this year.
No.
And so for me, the entire NFC East is just to stay away because you're going to be baited into whatever opinion you already have, and they're going to price you out of it being logical.
100%. And the media is also going to push narratives that they will continue to push no matter what about this division. I think too, with the Commanders and their win total set at 9.5. I know. I think we're being a little dramatic. I was very wrong on them last year. A lot of that was because I didn't think the O-line was going to be able to perform the way that it did last year. Kudos to them. That's great. See if you guys do it again, whatever. They brought some pieces in. My thing is with the Commanders, the Giants, and the Cowboys, they're a 1 to 2 injuries away from just goodbye season. I feel like you take out Jaden Daniels, like, no, I'm not confident in the Commanders.
Yeah.
You take out Andrew Thomas or Dexter Lawrence, goodbye to the New York Giants.
Yeah, we saw it with the Cowboys last year. Dak is out, it's over. CD's out, it's over. You touched on Daniels. Terry McLaurin's out, it's over.
Over, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there may be more competitive teams in the NFC East than people initially believe in terms of contending for the division title.
Yeah.
I just don't think that any of them make long-term noise outside of the Eagles come the playoffs. And so, I think the best thing to do with that entire division is just stay away. You have beat writers that will pump up every single team. But it's the Eagles and it's everybody else. It's what it's kind of always been, except for a few moments here and there where Dallas decides that they want to take football seriously. But other than that, it's Howie Roseman and it's everybody looking up at him.
That's small, man. Shout out Short Kings. I also, one thing today, I'm so happy that everyone's so excited about Pickens in the NFC East. I hope Malik Nabers, with the way that the media is talking about these fucking wide receivers, I hope he takes a massive dump on all of these teams because I am so tired of the Nabers disrespect. I don't care if they're ranking duos. The fact that he has just completely been omitted from some of these lists that I'm seeing is hilarious to me.
There's a legitimate chance. I mean this non-ironically. I think there's a legitimate chance that Malik Nabers leads the league in receiving yards.
I 100% agree with you. I've been waiting to find a line.
It's not so much that the Giants are totally offensively inept. There were moments for Tyrone Tracy last year. There have been a bunch of slot guys. The joke that I made was they like slots more than Vegas does. But they finally got an X, and Nabers was fucking awesome.
He's so fucking awesome. I love him with my whole heart.
Russell Wilson and Jameis, right? If you're just looking at QB archetypes, they like to throw slants and they like to throw the ball 95 yards down the field.
Yeah.
So, all things considered, it's probably bombs away from Malik Nabers. Now, everybody's going to try to stop him. So you've got to find somebody as a number 2. Good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. But, as long as he gets his slants that he can basically go 2013 Odell Beckham with, or 2014 Odell Beckham with, we're all good.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be probably a horrible season again, but that's all right. I'm so ready. I'm so prepared. The Patriots win total 8.5. A lot of hype, pretty easy schedule. Here's my thing. Also mentioned this on Monday. I didn't get too into it. I like what the Pats are doing quite a bit. Do I know that translates to tons and tons of wins this year? I don't know. I like what they're doing at the foundation, the moves that they have made. Do they win 10 games? I wouldn't be shocked, I guess.
I'm not betting on it to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised for it to happen. But they're one of those teams. Every year we have this group of teams. They're the superstars. You've got your Baltimores, your Kansas Cities, your Buffaloes, your Eagles. You've got kind of that class of teams where you're like, it'd be pretty surprising if they didn't win 10 plus games. Then you've got 12 to 15 teams every year where you could finish with 6 wins, and I wouldn't really be that surprised. You could finish with 10 or 11 wins if everything broke right, and I wouldn't be that surprised. They kind of fit into that bucket where nothing really that New England would do would surprise me. Yeah. Now, I just think that the reset, first-year head coach there in Vrabel, Elliott Wolf just kind of helped reassemble this roster. They finally drafted well, thank God. I think it is definitely wheels are up in New England. It's going to be a much better team than it was last year. But asking them to get 9 wins in any AFC division is a tall order, unless you're in the South.
Yeah, they're a team that comes up short a lot of times in games. Maybe they're competitive and they're in games and whatever it is, but they lose when it comes down to the wire. One of the teams that I can't really place, I guess, as far as the way that you just kind of described the hierarchy of the league. The Vikings are set at 8.5, and I think that the Vikings continue to be a little disrespected. And I think kind of how we value, people have Lamar Jackson, they have like they have KOC, and I think that alone you have to add into what they're able to do as well. They have a tough schedule, though. They have been playing some easier schedules. Now they're also, I mean, a lot of that comes from their division. They had 13 wins last year, 14. Then the year before was 7, and then 14, whatever it is. I kind of lean the over there still on the Vikings. Like, do I think that they're going to win 8 games? No, like I do lean the over on that. I like what they've done with their roster. A lot of it comes down to JJ McCarthy, though. So where are we at with JJ McCarthy temperature check?
This is going to sound almost sacrilegious. It almost doesn't matter. Can you be rookie Brock Purdy? Yes. Can you be stepping in for the first time Washington Kirk Cousins? Because they've built you a fucking race car, buddy. Like,
no, like that. Like, you can't fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, it's as well. I'm not going to call him a rookie because he's not. And obviously he was there and absorbed a lot of it. For a first-time starter to inherit what he's inheriting, you get Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones is back. Christian Darrisaw is back. That whole line is back. Kevin O'Connell is back. When you look at the Vikings as a whole, do I think that they're ready to make that like Ben Roethlisberger Super Bowl run and year one of him starting in Pittsburgh? No, I don't really see that. But to sit there and say that they're going to be significantly worse, like really significantly worse than they were with Darnold, probably isn't untrue because Darnold had to work with a much more mangled picture than McCarthy's going to have to work with.
It's true.
At least if everyone stays healthy and they kind of have the offense that we think that they're going to have. He has the ultimate out, right? In throw to 18. When in doubt. I mean, there aren't a whole lot of guys in the league that it's just, hey, no matter where he is, throw it up. Ask Buffalo about him.
quite literally. No, but I think you're exactly like hitting the nail on the head there. I think also what they did, like even you've seen them, they make Dobbins look good. And it's not these quarterbacks, like it's a lot of KOC, and it's just the fact that like, look at the weapons that they have, look at everything they have to work with. And JJ is walking into like, holy shit, dude. Like if you look bad, we got a conversation to have.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's as good a situation. I mean, everybody said that about Caleb Williams last year for a number 1 overall pick.
I don't think it's the same thing.
It is nowhere near the same.
At all. I mean, it's just not.
They built him a chariot ride at King.
Yeah. Shit. All right. What about Carolina? Another team getting a lot of hype. They're sitting at 6.5, probably about where they should be. Because again, like you're saying, this is a team I could see, oh, they win 6 games. Oh, they won 10-11. Cool.
Yeah. This is the one that to me is the scariest to take the over on of like the 6-7 win teams in terms of odds, because it is so Bryce Young health dependent. Like there's if they have to dip into the well, you're looking at a really rough spot. He showed the flashes of what makes him special last year. Tet McMillan, close and near and dear to both of our hearts. That's my boy.
Yes.
That's my dog. I think he's going to change life there in a good way. They hired Eric Eager. They've done a lot of things that, David Tepper would never have done. And so I think that now that we're looking at Carolina as kind of this new age organization, I think that this is kind of the year where you find out what do we have on our roster that's long-term viable?
Right.
What can we do here? I don't think that 6.5 wins is a clear over or a clear under. I just think that if this team hits their potential, they're probably closer to an 8 or a 9 win team.
Yeah.
And I think that if they kind of stick to what they have been and have the injury bad luck that they've had, they're probably a 4 or 5 win team. So I think that that's adequately set, but it's not like I think they're either a 6 or a 7 win team. I think it probably falls on the outer bounds.
Yeah, for sure. Last team, I don't even know why I'm bringing them up because quite frankly, no offense, Saints fans, but like I really just don't give a fuck. But their win total is at 6.5 as well. Derek Carr is becoming almost as annoying to me as Aaron Rodgers, actually. Like he's getting on my last nerve. He's not quite there, but it's like What is going? Do you know anything about Derek Carr more than I know? Is he fucking starting?
He fucking sucks. Who cares?
Exactly. Just move on.
Who
Get
cares?
rid of him.
Who cares?
The old guy. Shuck.
He's 25 years old, and at this point is already probably a better QB. Look, Derek Carr was a very nice story for a long time in, Oakland and then Vegas. Every year he did this seesaw thing where he was either the 20th best quarterback in the league or the 10th best quarterback in the league, depending on, what the weather outside was like and whether his pool got hot enough the day before. And then, they brought the Jekyll and Hyde show to New Orleans for reasons that I don't understand, because they already owed all these players a fuck ton of money. They had pushed money way into the future after Drew Brees. And that's kind of the time that you take your medicine. You do what Atlanta did. You reset. Yeah. Now, I don't know why they decided to go after Kirk Cousins. It's a different story for a different day. But, once your Super Bowl window has closed and your Hall of Fame QB retires, that's when you take your medicine, you eat a horrible cap year, and then you move on. They decided we don't want to do that. What the fuck was Derek Carr going to do for you, man? I would really love to know what they thought he was going to do there. He's going to do nothing this year. I think that they're probably going to move him at some point or cut him, whatever the case is. I don't see a scenario where he takes more snaps in New Orleans. I just
get rid of him. Go away. Just go. I thought they were going to be done with this shit last year.
Retire, bro.
We're done. I'm sick of your bad. I'm tired of watching you play football, buddy.
If you dropping back to pass actively sickens me, I need you to permanently go to Tulum.
Also,
just go.
I'm tired of seeing his fucking brother on whatever network he's on, and it just says Super Bowl winning whatever Giants. Brother did nothing. Can we just be fucking clear? Get it out of there.
Yeah, I think the Saints are kind of in between a rebuild and a true teardown.
Yeah.
And I think they're closer to the rebuild side, where they're probably closer to the true teardown.
Right.
It's not pretty. It's kind of an ugly spot to be in. We saw Atlanta do this a couple years ago with Matt Ryan right before the end. But again, you always want to be a year early in taking your medicine instead of a year late. And the Saints are 4 years late. So do the math. Enjoy.
I don't know why a lot of these teams why do you want to be in purgatory? I don't the point of a season is to go all the way, and you guys just like to barely go anywhere. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I've been drunk in the French Quarter for 8 days before. Maybe they're on the same way.
Honestly, maybe we need to look into it. It's probably something along those lines. All right, before we get out of here, I tweeted and you were like, is this for our segment tomorrow? I was like, yeah, obviously it's for our segment tomorrow. I asked, so what is a non-negotiable for you with dating and sports? I got some funny answers. Some people, we had the classic, this is why everyone's going to die alone, because it shouldn't matter. Oh, it fucking matters. First of all,
I have a hot take, and I don't know if you're going to agree with it or not.
Oh no.
They've either got to be all in or all out. They either have to totally care and be totally invested. The fandom doesn't matter, but you either have to be totally all in and invested as a fan of a team so that you can understand how psychotic I am on Ohio State game day or on Rams game day, or you have to be totally disinterested in this totally to just be oh, my significant other is interested in this weird thing that they care way too much about. I don't think you can be halfway in
when you're doing stuff. Be able to be self-sufficient, that you don't need to be I know Brad Thomas wrote in it, I'm not missing a big game for a silly event. We are not doing stuff when there is a championship on. We're not going to your friend's fucking bridal shower or whatever.
Do not get married in the fall.
No.
That's simple.
No, thank you.
And if you do get married on a Friday, which I have no problem with.
You live in Chicago, and Dave Kluge put in, biggest red flag when dating in Chicago is meeting a woman who was born and raised in Chicago but rooted for the Packers. Take those daddy issues somewhere else. Any comment on that?
Dave was meeting women in Chicago?
When he was living in Chicago when he met Emily.
I know.
Yeah.
That's so good.
She is not a Packers fan.
I know. Thank God for that.
Oh, there we go. That's all we need to know.
That would be explosive. to say.
I saw someone, oh my God, one girl wrote, if you're into sports, if a girl is into sports, all non-negotiables go out the window. One girl quote tweeted and said, I won't date you if you watch them. Like, what?
Yeah,
hard to find a guy that doesn't watch any.
I've never understood the weird, like, in between, you have to be a diehard fan of my team with me or I can't be around you. I'm like, dude, she probably does not care about the Michigan State Spartans. Not like that. Maybe one day she will grow to.
She's not gonna have an option, is the thing at that point.
Do you want to be around your significant other watching the Giants?
I don't want to be around my fucking self during.
I know.
Let alone a significant other.
Exactly.
I don't want to watch
the
games with any of you guys. Like, if it's my team, no, thank you. Actually, because I don't like the talking and the questions and like didn't you have that guy in your parlay? Oh yeah, I did. I fucking did. The ones that's getting carted off. Like, I'm gonna fight you now. Like, can we not make? I don't need peanut gallery comments. One of them I thought was funny, and then I'll let you get out of here. And this was interesting. Our kids have no choice in what teams they choose. That's where I could see problems happening if you're like my kids are not being fucking Cowboys fans.
In theory, I get it, but like at the same point in time, like, come on. Like, if I'm an Ohio State fan, if my child went to U of M, I would be very sad. Like, I would be very sad. I would be disappointed. But I'm not going to support my child. Like,
yeah, fair.
I get it.
Maybe. Although I don't want to set them up for failure. So it's like, if like their dad has
everybody has the friend that has a kid that just wants to be the contrarian all the time. So if you're a Giants fan, they're just going to be a Cowboys fan or an Eagles fan just to piss you off.
Their 529 account is going to get shut down. That's fine. That is a choice by you that you made. I'm going to support you. But
that's wild.
I will not be paying for your college.
To this not born child, and she's already putting, you will be a fucking Giants fan.
No, you don't have to be a Giants fan, but like some are off limits. And it felt like when I was scrolling through, it seemed like no one wanted to date Cowboys, Yankees, or Eagles
the Cowboys, Yankees, Lakers.
Yeah, those, 100%.
Yeah. That Duke basketball is their life. Yeah. Yeah, nobody likes those people.
Interesting.
But don't be one of those.
There's always something very suspect about like a Dallas fan living in like Michigan. Like, you fucking freak. Like, where does that come from?
I'm a Rams fan that lived in Ohio, man.
That's fine. I don't know, but they were St. Louis. Like,
yeah,
you can find a way. Look at me making excuses for you.
I am not a fan of people, and the classic one, like the Yankees, Cowboys, Notre Dame, are all kind of in the same pot where it's like, oh yeah, well, like my third cousin once dated an Irish Catholic girl. So I'm a Notre Dame fan because my local team sucks.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Let people know where they can find you. We'll get out of here. Kind of craving a cocktail now that it's 7:00.
Yeah. Well, I'm Anand. You can find me at Nanduri NFL on Twitter and sometimes in other places, on podcasts and such. Matt and I do a show on Player Profiler called Decision Point, where we kind of go through what NFL GMs actually do and what their job title and description really is, because they kind of get lumped in with head coaches. But most of the time you can find me on there talking ball and occasionally discussing hilarities in the dating pool that Steph likes to comment on.
Yes, of course. Go check him out. One of my dear friends. We're going to get out of here. Like, subscribe, rate, review, do all the things. I will see you guys on Monday.